You can feel it, even if you cannot fully put it into words yet. Something has shifted. Not overnight, not dramatically, not in a way that the people around you would necessarily notice. But you feel it in the way you wake up now. You feel it in the way you make decisions. You feel it in the quiet steadiness that has started showing up in moments where you used to feel anxious or scattered or unsure of yourself. Aquarius, you are entering a stronger chapter of your life. This is not wishful thinking. This is not a pep talk. This is a recognition of something that is already in motion. The groundwork for this shift was laid in a period that was not easy for you. There was loss in it. There was confusion and restructuring and moments where you questioned things you thought you were certain about. But all of that was preparation. All of it was the necessary clearing that had to happen before something new and more solid could take root in its place. And now the stronger chapter is beginning. It is not going to arrive all at once like a sudden storm. It is going to reveal itself in pieces, in patterns, in quiet but unmistakable signs. There are 10 of those signs, and if you are paying attention, you will recognize each one as it shows up in your life. This is not something happening to you. This is something you have built. Something you have earned through the honesty and the endurance and the refusal to become smaller than you are. Welcome to the stronger chapter, Aquarius. Here is how you know it has already started. Sign 1. You are becoming more comfortable with who you actually are. For much of your life, Aquarius, you have lived with the quiet tension of being someone that the world does not always fully understand. You think differently. You feel differently. You see the world in ways that most people around you do not share. And while you have always maintained your individuality on the surface, there has often been a deeper layer of self-doubt. A wondering whether your way of being is too strange, too detached, too idealistic, too ahead of its time to actually work in the world you are living in. That tension is beginning to ease. One of the clearest signs that you are entering a stronger chapter is the growing comfort you feel in your own nature. Not just pride, but ease. A settled quality that comes from having tested yourself against enough of life to know that your way of moving through the world, while unconventional, is yours and it works. You have seen your ideas play out. You have seen that your ability to detach from emotion long enough to think clearly has served you in situations where others fell apart. You have seen that your refusal to conform has led you to paths that brought you more satisfaction than the conventional paths ever would have. That evidence is settling into your bones. And the result is a version of you that is less apologetic, less self-editing, less concerned with fitting into a mold that was never made for you. The stronger chapter you are entering is built on this foundation. Not on pretending to be something you are not. On being exactly what you are with growing confidence and precision. Sign 2. The people who did not serve your growth are quietly falling away. You have probably noticed it already. A friendship that has been cooling for months finally reaching its natural end. A connection that used to feel essential that you now realize was held together primarily by habit or proximity, or a shared past that no longer defines who either of you is. People are falling away, Aquarius, and while that can feel like loss in the short term, what it actually signals is alignment. When your energy shifts and your chapter changes, the connections that belong to the previous chapter begin to dissolve naturally. This is not abandonment. This is not failure. This is the living reality of growth. As you become clearer about who you are and what you value, the connections that were built on a less clear version of you stop fitting the same way. They require you to shrink back, to code switch into an older self, to manage around incompatibilities that used to feel minor but now feel significant. The departure of these connections is creating space. And that space is not emptiness. It is an invitation. It is the universe creating room for the kinds of relationships that will actually be able to travel with you into the stronger chapter you are entering. The people who belong in your next chapter are already in motion toward you. The space is necessary for them to arrive. If what you are hearing feels accurate, know that it could happen if you applied this energy consistently for 21 consecutive days. That is the 21-day challenge pinned at the top of this channel. It is built around daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you are tired of staying in the same cycle, that structure is exactly what has been missing. Sign 3. You are beginning to trust your own perspective again. There was a period not too long ago where your confidence in your own perceptions had been shaken. Maybe someone in your life repeatedly dismissed your observations or made you feel like the way you saw things was wrong. Maybe a series of events did not unfold the way your instincts said they would, and left you questioning your judgment. Maybe the cumulative effect of living in a world that often operates so differently from the way you think left you with a quiet uncertainty about whether you could trust your own read on things. That uncertainty is lifting. One of the hallmarks of the stronger chapter for Aquarius is the return of trust in your own perspective. Not arrogance, not the refusal to consider that you might be wrong, but a solid, grounded confidence in the quality of your own thinking and the validity of your own perception. You are beginning to notice again that your instincts are usually right, that the things you observed and flagged and mentally noted were accurate, that the ideas you have been developing deserve to be taken seriously, that your interpretation of events, while it may look unconventional from the outside, tends to be remarkably precise when given time to prove itself. As this trust returns, you will notice that you are second-guessing yourself less, that you are making decisions more quickly and with more conviction, that you are stating your views without the apologetic softening you used to layer around them. This is strength returning. Welcome it. Sign 4. Opportunities that once seemed out of reach are starting to feel possible. Aquarius carries enormous potential. Your ideas are often genuinely innovative. Your capacity to see what others miss and to connect things in ways others would not think to connect them is one of the rarest gifts in the zodiac. But potential that stays inside is just imagination. And for a long time, many of the opportunities that matched your actual potential felt either too far away or somehow not meant for you. That feeling is shifting. In the stronger chapter you are entering, you will begin to notice that doors that were previously closed to you are starting to open. Not all at once and not without effort, but the sense that the opportunities worth pursuing are beyond your reach is giving way to something more grounded and more realistic. Aquarius, your timing is changing. There are moments in life when the gap between your inner development and your outer circumstances narrows, when what you have built inside yourself finally begins to reflect in the opportunities that appear around you. You are in one of those moments. The opportunities that are beginning to arrive are not accidents. They are the natural output of the person you have become through the difficult seasons you have already moved through. Take them seriously. Step into them with confidence. This is the beginning of a period when the world outside you starts to catch up to the world inside you. That is an extraordinary place to be. Sign 5. Your relationship with your own emotions is changing. Aquarius is often described as emotionally detached, and there is truth in that. You have spent much of your life in your mind, comfortable with ideas and systems and theories, less comfortable with the territory of feeling. Emotions have sometimes felt to you like interference, static that gets in the way of clear thinking. And so you have developed highly sophisticated ways of managing, redirecting, or simply postponing your emotional experience. But something is shifting. In the stronger chapter, you are developing a new relationship with your own emotional life. Not one that abandons your intellectual nature, but one that integrates it. You are beginning to see that your feelings carry information just as valuable as your thoughts. That the discomfort you feel in certain situations is not irrational weakness but valid data. That the warmth you feel towards certain people is not a vulnerability to be guarded against but a resource to be honored. This integration is making you more whole, more human in the deepest sense. And paradoxically, it is making you stronger, not weaker. Because the person who can think clearly and feel honestly is far more capable of navigating the world than the person who relies only on thinking while feelings build pressure below the surface. You are becoming that more integrated person. And the strength that comes from that integration is unlike anything purely intellectual strength can provide. If this message is resonating with your sign right now, trust that it is not a coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it sends exactly the right signal at exactly the right moment. And you are here because you needed to hear this today. Your support, whether as a subscriber or as a member of this community, is what keeps these messages alive. The ones that touch hearts, awaken minds, and transform lives. If this video has been making sense to you, drop in the comments the day you were born. Let us keep going. Sign 6. You are making choices based on what you actually want, rather than what you think you should want. There is a kind of life that Aquarius can accidentally fall into. A life that looks unconventional from the outside but that is still built around external expectations, just different ones. You rebel against mainstream conformity, but sometimes you conform to a different set of standards. The standards of your community, your friend group, your ideological circle, your sense of what a progressive person or a forward-thinking person should want. And in doing that, you can end up living a life that is still not quite yours. The stronger chapter is one in which you are beginning to distinguish with growing precision between what you genuinely want and what you think you should want. This distinction sounds simple, but it is profound. Because when you are truly living from what you actually want, your energy is completely different. There is no drag, no quiet internal resistance, no sense of performing a life rather than living one. You move with a fluency and a commitment that is impossible to fake. As this chapter unfolds, watch for the moments when you catch yourself choosing something because it feels authentically right rather than because it fits a narrative you have been maintaining. Those moments are the building blocks of a life that is genuinely yours. And a life that is genuinely yours for Aquarius is the only kind of life that will ever feel like enough. Sign 7. Your boundaries are getting cleaner and easier to hold. There was a time when setting a boundary felt like a complex and exhausting undertaking. You would think it through endlessly. You would worry about how it would be received. You would soften it so many times that by the time you said it out loud, it barely resembled the boundary you had started with. And then you would struggle to hold it because you had not been fully clear about it in the first place. That pattern is changing. In the stronger chapter, Aquarius finds that boundaries come more naturally. They feel less like confrontations and more like simple statements of fact. They feel less like acts of aggression and more like acts of self-respect. And crucially, they feel easier to hold once they are set, because they are coming from a place of genuine clarity, rather than from accumulated frustration. This shift is a sign of growth. It means you are clearer about who you are and what you need. It means you are less afraid of other people's reactions, because you have come to understand that a person who cannot respect a reasonable boundary is telling you something important about whether they belong in your circle. Cleaner, easier boundaries are a hallmark of someone who has moved into a stronger relationship with themselves. And that is exactly where you are going. Sign 8. Your creative and intellectual energy is returning with new force. There may have been a period recently where your mind felt slower than usual, where the ideas were not flowing as freely, where the creative energy that is such a fundamental part of your Aquarius nature seemed to be running underground rather than on the surface. This is what happens during restructuring periods. When life is demanding most of your energy for navigation and adjustment, the creative and intellectual bandwidth that usually defines your experience gets redirected. But as the stronger chapter begins, that energy comes back. And when it comes back, it often comes back with more force than before, because it has been building pressure below the surface. You may notice that you are suddenly interested in things you have not thought about in a while. That ideas are arriving again, sometimes so quickly you need to write them down before they slip away. That problems you have been stuck on are beginning to show their solutions. That the future you want to build is becoming visible again after a period of fog. This return of creative and intellectual force is one of the most exciting signs that you are entering a new chapter. Aquarius lives to think, to create, to build in the realm of ideas. And when that capacity is fully activated, there is almost nothing you cannot figure out. Sign 9. You are no longer afraid of what happened before happening again. One of the ways that difficult seasons do lasting damage is that they leave behind a fear of repetition. You went through something hard, and even after you recovered from the event itself, you found yourself watching the horizon for signs that the same kind of thing was coming again. That watchfulness became its own kind of weight. It shaped your decisions. It made you hesitate where you would otherwise move boldly. It created a pattern of self-protection that was understandable but limiting. The stronger chapter arrives when that fear begins to loosen its grip, not because you have become reckless or naive, but because you have built enough trust in your own ability to handle difficulty that the prospect of future difficulty no longer controls your choices. Aquarius, you made it through whatever you went through, and in making it through, you proved something to yourself. You proved that your ability to adapt, to think clearly under pressure, to find the unconventional solution that others would miss, and to keep moving when everything around you is uncertain is real and reliable. You proved that you can handle things. And when you know you can handle things, the fear of things stops being the most powerful force in your decision-making. That is an enormous shift. And it is one of the most definitive signs that the stronger chapter has begun. Sign 10. You can feel that something good is coming and you believe it. The final and perhaps most telling sign that you are entering a stronger chapter is this. You believe it. You feel it not as wishful thinking but as a genuine sense that something is coming your way that you deserve and have worked toward. Aquarius can be cynical. You have seen enough of the world's contradictions to have a healthy skepticism about easy answers and promises that do not hold up. But right now, underneath all of that intelligence and all of that reasonable caution, there is a quiet but solid feeling of anticipation. Something is building toward you. Something aligned with who you are actually becoming. Something that your old self would not have been fully ready to receive but that your current self is more than capable of holding. This feeling is not fantasy. It is not the same as the hollow optimism that comes from refusing to see reality clearly. It is the specific feeling that comes when your inner development and your outer circumstances are finally moving in the same direction. When you have cleared enough, grown enough, and aligned enough that the good that is meant for you can actually find its way in. Aquarius, trust that feeling. It is one of the most accurate things your sign ever produces. The stronger chapter is not just beginning. It has already begun. And what is coming for you in it is worth every difficult moment of the preparation that brought you here. If this message resonated with your sign, trust that it is not a coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it always sends exactly the right signal, and you are here because you needed to hear this today. Your support as a subscriber or as a member of this community is what keeps these messages alive. They are the messages that touch, awaken, and transform. If this video made sense to you, leave in the comments the day you were born. A stronger chapter does not mean a perfect chapter. It does not mean a chapter without challenges or questions or moments of doubt. For Aquarius, a stronger chapter means a chapter in which you are more fully yourself, in which your decisions are made from clarity rather than confusion, in which your relationships are built on genuine connection rather than on what you can tolerate, in which your energy goes toward what actually matters to you rather than toward managing dynamics and situations that were never truly aligned with who you are. That is what is beginning now. And the beautiful, remarkable Aquarius-specific truth about where you are headed is this: you built this. Not the universe alone. Not some external force that decided it was your turn. You built it through the choices you made in the difficult seasons. Through the times you were honest when deception would have been easier. Through the times you stood by your values when caving would have been more comfortable. Through the times you refused to become someone smaller or more conventional just to make others more at ease with who you are. Every one of those moments was a brick. And what those bricks have built is the foundation of the stronger chapter you are walking into right now. The road ahead of you is not paved with guarantees. No road worth walking is. But it is paved with real opportunity, with genuine alignment, and with the specific kind of freedom that Aquarius was always meant to live. You are ready for this. You have been ready for this longer than you probably know. And now at last, the chapter that matches your readiness is here. Walk into it with everything you have. All the clarity, all the courage, all the brilliant, unconventional, extraordinary power of who you are. This is your time. Do not waste a single day of it.